how your family of origin shapes your love life. Why do you experience such extreme emotions in relationships? Why do you always dislike yourself and try to please your partner? Why do you keep attracting toxic partners? From a psychological perspective, the deep-rooted cause of your tumultuous love life often stems from your family background. Specifically, PTSD caused by parental trauma. Understanding parental trauma-induced PTSD. A typical manifestation of parental trauma-induced PTSD is when you're generally easygoing and pleasant to be around, yet you lack patience exclusively with your parents. You find yourself inexplicably angry and losing control of your emotions when talking to them. This isn't because you're unfilial. Subconsciously, you've labeled your parents as bad. As a result, you instinctively dislike interacting with them and may even feel repulsed by their presence. People who experience this have typically endured traumatic events caused by their parents during childhood. Parents might have frequently criticized you for minor mistakes, compared you unfavorably to other children, neglected your needs, or rarely spent time with you. As children, we couldn't recognize these behaviors as wrong. Instead, we viewed adults as authority figures and believed their anger towards us was due to our own shortcomings. This fear of parental authority remains buried in our subconscious, continuing to affect us even as adults. For instance, if your parents used your full name when they were about to scold you as a child, you might instinctively flinch as an adult when someone calls you by your full name. If your parents frequently hit you, you might unconsciously dodge when you see someone raise their hand. These experiences can even lead to hallucinations. In the movie Across the Furious Sea, a father uses pesticide to poison a kitten his daughter brought home. As an adult, the daughter believes she felt like she could smell pesticides wherever she went. This illustrates how childhood trauma can subconsciously influence us. Scientific research has shown that the effects of psychological trauma it can persist for decades and are difficult to change. In severe cases, it can lead to mental health issues such as depression. So how does childhood trauma gradually affect our relationships? Firstly, there's emotional flashback or emotional volatility. As mentioned earlier, you might flinch when someone calls you by your full name. In relationships, you might suddenly feel transported back to your childhood, experiencing the same negative emotions of fear and helplessness, always because of an offhand comment from your partner. To combat this distress, you might resort to extreme measures like yelling at your partner or throwing tantrums. The goal is to alleviate your own fear, but your partner may not understand why your emotions fluctuate so dramatically. If they can't tolerate these outbursts, it will inevitably lead to relationship crises. Secondly, there's self-loathing. After an emotional outburst, you might feel frustrated with your inability to control your emotions. After several such incidents, you may develop an intense sense of shame, wondering how you've become this way and believing that's why others don't like you. These strong feelings can trigger another emotional flashback, reminding you of the neglect and criticism you experienced as a child. Eventually, you internalize your parents' judgments, transforming "you're a bad child" into "I am a bad person." Once you adopt this belief, you'll consider yourself a failure with no value. To gain your partner's approval, you might go to one of two extremes. One is becoming overly accommodating, subconsciously believing that only your partner can see your true self and still like you. As a result, you might stay even when they hurt you. The other extreme is developing compulsive perfectionism, always striving to do things perfectly so your partner will like you. However, over time, your partner may leave due to the immense pressure this creates. Thirdly, there's self-abandonment. After experiencing one failed relationship after another, you become more convinced that no one will like you. You start to resist deeper connections with others, fearing they'll see your true self. Over time, this can lead to a fear of marriage and having children. Your inner dialogue becomes a fear of marrying someone like your father, becoming a mother like yours, or subjecting your own children to a childhood similar to yours. If you relate to these experiences, recognize that you may be suffering from parental trauma-induced PTSD. It's crucial to stop doubting yourself immediately. Don't think you're inadequate or really unfilial. In most families, we've all experienced some degree of childhood trauma from our parents, who may themselves have been victims of their own family of origin, perpetuating the same problematic parenting pattern. We can't change our parents, but we can learn to understand and accept ourselves. Even allowing yourself to harbor a small resentment towards your parents can help alleviate internal pressure. Only by confronting the pain you've endured can you achieve self-reconciliation. Subsequently, you need to learn to emotionally separate from your parents and seek professional psychological help to heal that trauma. The trauma you experienced isn't your fault, but learning how to heal from it is a necessary life lesson. If you enjoyed this series, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Your free likes are the greatest encouragement for me. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.